Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
And welcome to America's Heroes Group. Today is our community outreach roundtable, and it is Saturday, May 21st, 2022. May is Mental Health Awareness and Military Caregiver Month. You just heard our host, Cliff Kelley. I'm Sean Claiborne, the co-host, Army National Guard veteran. Our executive producer is Glenda Smith, and our digital media producer is Ivan Ortega of Scouts Honor Production. And it's Saturday at 4 o'clock, which means you should be listening to us on Facebook Live. We are live streaming right now. You can also see our shows on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Make sure that you like and also share comments about what you want to hear on our topics in the shows today. Now, we have our panelists with us, Mr. Robert Jacobs. He's a U.S. Army veteran and a PTSD survivor, and he wants to talk about his organization called Stand Before Kings. Now, everybody saw in our social media that we originally were to have Alex LaVuque and also Malcolm Lee with us today. They could not be here today. So instead of talking about job placement for veterans in the community, we're going to talk about a new organization that Mr. Robert Jacobs has started. It's a 501c3, and it's called Stand Before Kings. Mr. Jacobs, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Pretty good, loud and clear. So how you doing?
I'm at peace.
That's always good. Unfortunately, a lot of us are not at peace. So Stand Before Kings, tell us about that. Yes. What is that all about?
Well, our organization, Stand Before Kings, is truly a not-for-profit organization. We, as you stated, have a 501c3 status. What we do is we educate law enforcement and the public on gang prevention and awareness. We work diligently to help those who are looking for a way out from the gang life.
I think that's very powerful. So that is something we definitely need, particularly in our inner cities and also even places where people don't think about, even in rural communities around the country. Tell us about how you got involved in this organization, and how did your military experience tie into this?
Okay, well, I can start with the military experience ties into it with the discipline I obtained while being in the military. So laser focused when it comes to this organization and helping those who are in need of a way out of the gang life. My organization was given to me one day. I was reading scripture, and I came across the Stand Before Kings. Mm-hmm. And upon reading upon it, I was like, wow, this is just my own personal opinion. I was like, wow, there are a lot of kings in our communities, especially in the North Lawndale area. And I was like, but they don't know they're kings. And it was more or less like, well, how can I be a servant to those who are shunned upon? Mm-hmm. And so I decided to create this organization, and it's like I said, it's been around since 2016, and I do all that I can to say if it's just one life, then to me, work well done.
So can you explain to me a little bit, because, some of us have come from bad communities. A lot of times we use the military as a way to get out of our situation, particularly in the previous generations. If you're in a bad situation, especially in rural communities and in the city, that's the way to get out, is joining the military. You can get a job, you get training, learn discipline, like you mentioned. What is some of the allure of a child that maybe they're in low to moderate income households, maybe they're coming from situations where they don't have a lot of guidance and supervision. What is the lure to gangs primarily? People often say it's the flash and the cash, but what really do you see?
Okay. Well, in order to, my opinion, growing up in the North Lawndale area, it wasn't the lure of I too am an ex-ganger. This is something I've never spoken about with Miss Glenda. So I can speak from this perspective. So it wasn't the lure of the money or most people think that's it. No, I needed mentors. And so the people that I looked up to were the wrong mentors, but those were the people I would consider mentors. Not everybody is lured because of the money and the flashy stuff. It's just wanting to be a part, wanting to be loved, I can say from personal experience, I never had a man in my household to say, hey, son, or not even strong. I would say there were strong men in my family, but they never took the time out to say, hey, look, this is right or this is wrong. So the streets taught me until, I learned that, the way that I was being taught was a way towards a dead end.
It's interesting you should name your organization. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, but, in some cases it is the money. But I think with the strong mentor, it just takes time, a conversation. I had one person in Memphis, Tennessee, to sit down and just listen to me without saying anything, and I just let it all out, and he understood. And instead of just saying I understand or pretending to want to do something for me, he interceded into my life and helped me to be the man I am today.
It's interesting you named your organization Stand Before Kings, because oftentimes people point to people that especially are from the church community and also from evangelicals in particular, people that have more conservative standpoints, often say that one of the major reasons, particularly in the African-American community, that young men get drawn into gangs is because there's no strong male figure in their life. We talk about 70% of African Americans households not having a father figure in the home, or people that are divorced, single mothers raising young men. Do you see that as a problem? Do you see that as one of the main draws or one of the main circumstances that creates that fuel for people joining gangs?
Yes, I do. I also know for a fact that it doesn't just stop at one household. It's the community as a whole. Nowadays, you can't say anything to anyone's child without the parent, I would say, disciplining the adult in front of the child. If prime example, if I should say something to a child and the parent knows the child is wrong, rather than, or I may have said something that wasn't, something one should not say, an adult shouldn't say to a child, not profanity or anything, rather than waiting to speak with me as an adult to the side. This parent would choose to show this child that, this is the way you deal with an adult. And so it's a lack of training as well.
So what do you mean by when they say this is how you deal with an adult? So is that response that you get? So say, for example, one thing that always drives me crazy, and I still to this day, I don't know if it's something supernatural in the world that's keeping me from being able to be within arm's reach of a person or a young man walking around with their pants hanging around their ankles. I don't understand. I do not understand that. I remember this. I have to tell this story because this is true. This is real life. Or me and a friend of mine sitting in his living room. He has a big picture window. We see a kid running away from the police. He's running from the police, but he's got his pants hanging down around his ankles. So he falls down in the middle of the street.
So he's trying.
He's trying to run.
Yeah.
He's running, but his pants are too low.
Yeah.
So he falls down in the street. He's finally stumbling, and the cop's not even running. He's just walking and gets him.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
That has a lot to do.
There's a lot of stories about the history of that. But if you tell a child, hey, why do you have your pants hanging around your neck? I say hanging right next to your hanging stuff with these pants, basically. But why do you have your pants around your ankles? What type of a pushback am I going to get? What type of cussing out am I going to get?
Yes. And I've had to deal with this from both sides. So you have spoken to young male adults about their pants hanging down, and pretty much if you can tell whether or not their parents allow it because you'll get cursed out. But then there are some that if you approach them with love and kindness and talk to them as though they're human beings rather than shun what they're doing, I get mainly positive outcomes when I pull them, hey, brother, come here, let me talk to you, if you have a minute. And I express to them, that doesn't look right. Mm-hmm. And so it's all about the approach, and I get it. Yeah, it bothers me too. But at the same time, we have to understand that we're dealing with young male adults, females too, who didn't get what many of us received as children growing up, and which is discipline.
So how much military discipline are you instilling on these kids versus, was there any discipline that you got prior to joining the military that you use as an example?
Yes. And indirectly, a lot of them don't know, but it's how you greet a person, how you look at a person, how you stand when you're standing. You know, you try to stand erect as best as you can. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. And when they say something about that, I'm not in the military. Well, you know what? It's just it's polite to say this to your elders. Yes, sir. No, sir. You know how it goes. And a lot of them may not say yes, sir, or no, ma'am. But then they'll go from yeah, no to yes and no. So that's progress.
Wow. So how often do you see the success or the fruits of your labor being passed on to these kids that you're mentoring? Is it how many people do you have in your organization?
Well, there's only 4 people right now in my organization. My wife is one, whom I love dearly. I see a lot of progress. I see it daily. As a matter of fact, not only am I a veteran, not only am I a college grad, I graduated from Chicago State with a BA in sociology. I see the progress because I hire a lot of the young people to come assist and work, and I pay them out of my pocket. You know, we teach them plumbing. I graduated from Dawson Technical Institute as a plumber. I'm a certified plumber. And I just take a lot of them out on jobs. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting in my truck talking to you now. If I roll the window down, I have a young man with me now working. Now he's doing a clean out right now.
And I think that's so powerful because I've talked to a lot of veterans that have the same ideas you're talking about, who want to start trades, teaching the trades to young men, because that's one of the things, particularly in the African-American community, we've lost over the last few decades. People, I mean, young men just don't get the idea of they don't have enough examples of just doing things yourself, going out and learning how to wire an outlet, how to hang a light fixture, how to put in a hot water tank, how to diagnose a bad thermocouple in a hot water tank, things that are real life, everyday circumstances that we could be learning so we can take care of our communities.
That's right. And another group of people that I'm geared towards helping right now, and I do this daily. It's in the North Lawndale area. You know, drugs are running rapid over there, and I would love to somehow get a building over there and rehab it, make one part of it for people who are looking for rehabilitation to take place, make it into a drug rehabilitation center, but also a portion of it, whereas once they have, we're not going to say, once they become recovering addicts, they'll be able to be taught how to do plumbing within that same building. So that's one thing that I really would love to do in the North Lawndale community.
Now, so when a person comes to you, and I know the power of knowledge, the power of knowledge can change a person's life, but how do you keep that person on the straight and narrow? When a person comes to you and they get into a program, and I think I cannot stress that enough. I'm so happy to hear you talk about the importance of giving somebody skills, job skills, real skills, because it's something about working with your hands, it's something about using your mind to keep you away from trouble.
Yes.
When you have that power and that ability, and I'm not 100% sure if our school systems are doing a good job of that. It seems like over the last few decades we've kind of gotten away from the honor and respect and the power that a person who actually has knowledge, working knowledge of how to make something work, a tradesperson, whether you're a gaffer on a film crew or if you're just a plumber, if you're an electrician or a carpenter, those types of skills we don't really value or treasure as much as we should. That's you're teaching someone how to be a business person. But once you start that path, it's a lot of trials and tribulations to become self-employed. If you're going to be an HVAC guy, want to be running a business, you have to have a certain kind of discipline. How do you keep people on that straight and narrow? What's that process like?
I think the best thing for us to do is just to be loyal and honest, If you say you're going to do something, do it. You know, there's an old saying in the streets, gang begot gang. I'm pretty sure you've probably heard it. These youngsters, they know when you're feeding them crap. And so if you're just honest with them, and, you know, and they'll start opening up a little bit at a time, even with the adults who've been through a lot, you know, they'll start opening up. And so that's what I do. I'm not perfect. God in heaven knows I could never, you know, get that type of status. But what I am is I'm honest. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm going to teach you something, I'm going to teach you. The gentleman that's working today knew nothing. He knew nothing about plumbing. I can take him into Home Depot now and I can tell him I need this, and that. And I guarantee you he's going to come back and he's going to have what I asked him for. You know, I would love to start a construction company up under my organization. But then, you know, I get discouraged because of all the red tape. They make it hard for people like me who have dreams and plans to do and to help people escape from the type of lifestyles that's holding them back and becoming productive citizens. So lately I've just been using my own funds, my wife and I funds, to help. If we can just, like I say, help one person, you know, then mission accomplished. And I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. I have a 501c3 status and still hasn't used it. But I'm glad that I have it. And you all helped, America's Hero Group helped me to obtain that.
Wow.
I was guided. Yes. Spoke with Miss Glenda, and she introduced me to a very, very nice gentleman. And there was no. He listened. He respected what I wanted to do, and he said, "I'm going to help you," and he helped. But before he said that, Miss Glenda had already said he was going to help me. She made sure that happened. So I'm grateful for America's Hero Group.
I really appreciate that. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help people and to try to empower people and provide solutions as opposed to just complaining about a problem. I mean, there's so many shows and so much information that complains about a problem but doesn't really dive into trying to solve a problem. God forbid you actually try to stop the problem because you may be running out of stuff to talk about.
Yes.
so we keep talking about the problem.
You're right about that. You're right about that.
Now, in your life, you're a PTSD survivor. So how does that any of that effect come from your childhood when you were maybe in gang life versus how much of that came from anything you've experienced in the military?
Everything that happened to me as far as PTSD, I obtained that through the military. So, you know, I mean, I wasn't out here. Once again, I can say this. I was running around wanting to be a part of something. And the so-called people I hung with were like a family. So, you know, my PTSD didn't come from there. Escaping, going into the military saved me from becoming one of these people that, you know, the people that I'm attempting to help and show them that there's a better way of life than the life that they're living. So, no, my PTSD was, I obtained that in the military.
And there's about 30 seconds left. So when did you realize in your gang life, you know, when did that kind of happen when you realized that you had to go do something different? What was that event that triggered you to join the military?
Okay, so this is when my grandfather said you have two options. If you keep living how you're living, you're either going to wind up dead or in prison. And my granddad was a man of truth. And when he looked me in my eyes and he told me those were the only two options I had, I just didn't want to live that way no more. I just didn't. And I thank God that I did go into the military.
That's good last words. Mr. Jacobs, thank you for your time. I really appreciate Stand Before Kings, your 501c3 that's active now. How do we get a hold of Stand Before Kings? How do we reach you on social media? Phone numbers you want to give us?
Yes, I can be reached at 773-991-4285.
We appreciate your time, and thanks for all your hard work.
I appreciate your organization. I do. God bless you, and God bless America's Heroes Group.
This is America's Heroes Group. We'll be right back.